Go live. Welcome to the Mondayest of Mondays. Sorry, I was on the phone with the high school nurse getting squared away that my 17-ish-year-old daughter could have an ibuprofen or ibuprofen, depending on how you pronounce it. And God forbid she have one in her purse just because, they release the hounds and prosecute her, I'm sure. So I had to email them because I hadn't filled out their commie, I give you permission to give you an ibuprofen thing for the loveliness. Thank you, Eris, for being you and doing all the Modly thing. Darth Hideous, thank you for showing up. Dennis Heaton, thank you for being here. And everyone, Erin Olivia, JKD Buck, Feral Housewife, Phoenix Fire, Billy Marie, and Flash Fan. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. We have flurries here, so it is all crazy. And things are happening. I am getting a backdrop today, possibly, because while I may not be able to, clickety click things in the digital world, I can Amazon. My husband's like, you can spend money. I was like, it is my talent as a female. Don't underestimate my powers. Um, and then I realized I may need another garment rack. He's like, you think? But my display of wigs, and this isn't even all of them, so I will possibly need another wig display. He's like, are you going to admit you have a problem now? I was like, yes, I need another garment rack. Ah, yeah, Farrell, I know the pain. Yeah, really, it's ridiculous. Um, but things are happening here. A big, giant, wonder. I did. I taxidermied all of them. I found them in the wild. I hunted them down all by myself. Uh, I did want to give a really big shout out. This group of creators is so amazing, and Shizzy took time out of his weekend to demystify Streamlabs OBS, my Stream Deck, and a bunch of other things that I have been very confused about for a long time. So I really wanted to shout him out. It is amazing. You hear a lot of things about jerky people on, the interwebs, but this group of people is just amazing, amazing things, amazing people that are willing to help people who are like me with like your Aunt Judith with a jitterbug, telephone, like I've fallen and I cannot find the big old emergency button. So I really wanted to give a shout out. Go subscribe to him. He does more political news in the morning before me. So really, he is a great guy. He took time out of his weekend to help me, and it was awesome. Now, I understand a lot more about it, and I will be playing around with those things. So thank you so much. On to the news and why you guys really come. Friberto, for the love of all that is Cheetos, Fribert, why must you always be out of frame and out of whack? Sir, you have a bed. Good morning, Cool Gamer, and Squabob, and Shelby Fogg, and Old Line Red, and Wolfram, and AC's Wildflower. Our first story today is a con artist accused of stealing $100 million from the army to spend on luxury homes, cars, is allowed to retire with full benefits. Quote, I earned it. Well, let's see how we did that, because I would like to earn things too. Yes, Farrell just put up the link to Shizzy's YouTube. Let's get him to all of the subscribers because he is an awesome guy that is willing to help a technically illiterate person like me, which is awesome. A con artist who is accused of defrauding the U.S. Army out of $100 million has been given the green light to retire with full benefits. Janet Yamahaka Mello, 57, who is currently under criminal investigation, brazenly claims she quote-unquote earned her civil servant retirement package despite allegedly claiming or using funds to purchase over 30 homes, luxury cars, and jewelry. Are you related to Pol Pot, ma'am? Just asking for a friend. And oh my God, those eyebrows. Look, never trust a woman who shaves off her entire eyebrows and then draws these on. Look, as a female, I'm just gonna say this is a warning sign. It's a tarp. It's Admiral Akbar. Do not. In a 7-year-long scheme, the military admitted there's nothing that can be done to withhold Mello's benefits from her as it's protected under federal law, and was held up in government bureaucracy. She's so surprised she got away with it. She's like, I'm getting away with it, y'all. The command has no authority to impact Miss Mello's retirement, an Army spokesperson told the San Antonio Express News. In accordance with 5 U.S. Code Section 8312, an individual may be denied an annuity or retirement pay on the basis of service of an individual if the individual is convicted of treason, rebellion, or insurrection, or any similar offenses. There is no similar statutory authority for denying retired pay based on conviction of other offenses. Well, y'all, Mo is not looking up how to become a federal employee right now. JKD Buck, a government thief who steals millions to gets their government insurance and pension from the people she robbed? I know. Does she think she's a congressperson? Maybe she's going into that service next. Joke on the word service. Albert Flores, Mello's attorney, told the outlet that his client, quote unquote, earned her retirement benefits. Madam, please explain to me one person you helped. She earned it, and I don't see how one thing is related to the other, he said of the ongoing criminal investigation. Well, mainly because I don't want my taxes paying for her. Flores said that Mello's case will be resolved quickly, and she's been very cooperative, turning over assets. That the government will steal, will get pennies on the dollars, and Squaw Bob, he's up at 4 a.m. with me digging for these wonderful stories. She's very, very, he's very tired. We dig all over the interwebs. It's a dirty, scary thing. Mello, who worked as a civilian financial program manager, holy shit balls, she was involved in, well, now we know why the government's bankrupt. At Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston hatched a plan in 2016 to create a business titled Child Health and Youth Lifelong Development, so she could siphon off funds she received from the Army to herself. Most recently, she raked in $130,000 per year at her role. The Internal Revenue Service, holy cow, she actually, so she was a civilian GS contractor. I think it was Saint something or other. I don't remember. Yeah, Fry's hyped up if I go on Shizzy's stream. He's like, I am not done digging up the news, madam. I can't believe the IRS flagged her personal returns when she had suspicious business and weird personal stuff. It's like when I explained to Mr. Mo that, yes, wigs are in fact for my business and other stuff. Still, her retirement plan is covered. So, yeah, basically everyone should go work for the government because apparently theft is legal. If she's found guilty, though, she could face a maximum prison sentence of 142 years. I'm sure that'll happen. Let's I don't recommend anyone holding their breaths to see this happen, but that's just me. Now everyone get your EMP recorder doodads, because over on Law and Crime, cops search for evidence of paranormal activity and possession of bodies after bizarre claims from mom and son accused of killing grandpa. Apparently they did not do it. It was Casper and or any of those people from Paranormal, or anyone from Evil Dead Rising. Look, they opened the book. They were dumb. They were like, hey, it's surrounded by crosses. It's, under a bunch of cement. It looks like it's made from human flesh, like Ed Gein craft store. But hey, let's open it and see what happens. That movie ticked me off so much. I was like, you kids are so dumb. Sorry. The whole movie, I was just like, why are you opening this book? You can... If you see the new Evil Dead Rising, I'm just saying, the entire time you're going to be screaming at your screen, book covered in a cement coffin surrounded by crosses, obviously hidden for good reason. No, so they kind of revamped the Evil Dead franchise, and they made a new Evil Dead Rising. It's not a great movie, but the kids open this Evil Dead book and it's just like, oh, it's one of those movies where you're just yelling at the screen, no, don't go by yourself. Why are you all splitting up? No, why? How did you sprain your ankle on nothing, ma'am? Nothing. Disturbing new details have emerged in the case of 87-year-old man from Michigan who authorities say was unalived by his 20-year-old grandson and 50-year-old daughter-in-law, both of whom allegedly went on to make such bizarre claims that authorities included, quote, evidence of paranormal activity in a search warrant. Jacob Kepakane, look, no idea. A student at the University of Minnesota and his mother, Margaret, are both facing 1 count each of open murder and conspiracy to commit homicide in the fatal shooting of Alvin, their grandfather, or court records reviewed by Law and Crime show. Jacob was also charged with 1 count of felony firearm possession. Authorities say that the mother and son live in Wisconsin. Well, there was your first idea that something was going to go terribly, terribly wrong in this story. No offense to Wisconsin, but every single time we see a story from there, it just goes bonkers to the wall. Traveled to Michigan, where they allegedly unalived Alvin and then were arrested in Iowa. Jacob also has an apartment in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where he attends college. According to the report from Martinique, Michigan, NBC and Fox affiliate WLUC, deputies in Houghton County Sheriff's Office about 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, December 19th, responded to a call requesting a wellness check at the home of the grandpa. Upon arriving to the address, first responders said they found Alvin suffering from an apparent gunshot wound to the headular area. I can't imagine. And he was pronounced not alive on the scene. Investigators were quickly able to identify Jacob and Margaret as potential suspects in the shooting. They were reportedly located still in Minnesota, driving south on Interstate 35 towards Iowa. Authorities contacted Clear Lake, Iowa Police Department, and officers were able to apprehend the duo when they stopped at a local gas station. Hey, anyone's ever been on a road trip, you definitely need, your Funyuns and your Mountain Dews on the run from the, popo. Good morning, Rossman Ranch. Sarah Adams. Yeah, well, so I put his pineapple bed up on my bed. It needs to be washed thoroughly, and he's like, I reject your reality and insert my own. According to the report, authorities in Minnesota executed a search warrant on Jacob's Minneapolis apartment located in connection with the murder investigation. The warrant reportedly states that Margaret's husband, who is also Jacob's father, told authorities that his family on December 7th, 2023, left him in Wisconsin and hadn't contacted him since leaving. However, he told authorities that after seeing debit card transaction in Bruce Crossings, Michigan, he believed his family was traveling to his father's home to get money, leading him to fear that the older man was in trouble. Alvin was at about 9 p.m. on December 18th, reportedly texted his son that the family, which he referred to as the crew, had just arrived at his home, then stopped responding to additional messages and calls from his son. Following the arrest, Margaret allegedly told the police that her son was the one who unalived Alvin, but both suspects reportedly made outlandish claims about the circumstances of the unaliving. For example, Jacob allegedly told the police that when they arrived at Alvin's home, they believed the 87-year-old had already been unalived by malevolent spirits, and the individual at the home was not Grandpa. Jacob advised the spirit stated Grandpa opened the well up behind the house and the spirits had unalived him, the search warrant reportedly states. Similarly, Margaret reported that Alvin was not her real father-in-law, claiming he had been moving around like a 20-year-old. Per the report, investigators even noted that the mother and son stories were eerily similar to the events in M. Night Shyamalan's film The Visit. They did not go full M. Night Shyamalama on this stupid thing. Lord. Oh, for the love of all that is flaming hot Cheetos. Both Margaret and Jacob are currently being held in Houghton County Jail without bond. A judge recently ordered them to undergo competency evaluations to determine if they can stand trial. Margaret is currently scheduled to appear in court again at 9:30 on March 22nd. I need to write that down because this looks like a trial where I could get, into some ghostery hunting. I'm just saying. Let's see, Margaret and Jacob. So that's March 22. Please stream this because this is all the craziness. And March 8th. Not sure that this is going to turn out to be a real Ghostbusters case, but I have to think that there might have been not street legal pharmaceuticals in play here, and I feel very bad for the father, the son of the grandfather that was obviously unalived, and the husband and father of these two who obviously have lost touch of something and went on to do this ridiculous thing because I don't know what's going on here. This was kind of a feel-good story. I thought I would start putting in a little bit more feel-good stories. And thank you, Sir Adams. Let me put you up. You probably have to hang this up after the stream because I'm getting new stuff set up. But let me at least get your tag done. So thank you, Sarah Adams. It's the 29th today. I don't know. January done killed all of my bingo cards. I have no idea what February will bring, but I am afeared. Because between, Hasidic Ninja Turtles and Vince McMahon taking a poo, I cannot. But this is kind of a feel-good story, and I figured we would start doing a little bit more feel-good. The headline is not great, but it gets better. Woman divorces man after traumatic brain injury, and her now husband helps care for him. I did not have that on either. That just broke my mind. Who knows? I can't. Quote, I still love him, and he is very much a part of our family, Chris Armstrong says of ex-husband Brandon Smith, who sustained a traumatic brain injury in 2008. Chris Armstrong was up front with James Armstrong when they first met. She and her ex-husband, Brandon Smith, who gosh darn it, Daryl Brooks, I am going to sue you. I'm going to sue you for putting in my mind substained every time I read sustained. A traumatic brain injury in 2008 and now needs round-the-clock care came as a package deal. She was honest from the start, James, 37, tells People. It was either accept or don't accept. Chris, 39, knew she would never abandon her first love, but also wanted the family she dreamed of having one day with Brandon, 38. So often when people have a really heartbreaking thing happen, resilience comes when we find meaning, says Chris. There's a lot of beauty in how our family works. It's wonderful and there's grace, but there was so much sadness and grief. Chris married her first love when they were just 21. The Texas high school sweethearts met when Chris was 16 and Brandon was 15. Brandon was and is a complete gem of a human, Chris says. However, their future was shattered just 2 years later, on November 5th, 2008, when Brandon was T-boned by a moving truck in a horrific accident. It was like a living nightmare, Chris said. There would be a moment when I would wake up in the morning and forget, then it would all come back. After the crash, the extent of Brandon's injuries left Chris unable to fully communicate with her husband. She could talk to him, but couldn't discuss complex thoughts or issues. Meanwhile, doctors said they didn't know what his future would look like. Of course, they told me he had a severe brain injury and would be affected his whole life, but I didn't know what that would be, says Chris. The unknown portion was terrifying. She stayed by his side as he recovered and changed her career to become a speech pathologist, but after several years she realized he isn't going to have a recovery where we could have a partnership. But I knew that I loved him dearly and wanted to take care of him, and to still be in his life, Chris said. And I knew of the people in his life I would be the most able to take care of him. Because of financial pressures she could not overcome, as well as her own desire to have children, Chris made the painful decision around 2010 to divorce Brandon and become his legal guardian. It's complicated to be someone's guardian and be divorced, Chris said. I remember the probate judge asking what would happen if I had a family change, and I said I was committed to caring for him for the rest of his life. Years later, Chris met James online, and after talking for a few weeks, Chris knew it was time for James to meet Brandon. When we took him to church together, Chris said, I went to the bathroom and came back and saw James' arm around Brandon, and that sealed the deal. The two were married on September 5th, 2015, and went on to welcome their 2 daughters a few years later. James also had a son from a previous relationship. Throughout their relationship, James has always been there for Brandon. James has 100% loved Brandon, cared for him, and been kind to him, Chris says, adding that James calls Brandon his brother. My heart just poured out to him, just seeing him in a wheelchair, unable to care for himself and not there mentally for the most part, James says. I hope he doesn't view me as the bastard that has taken his wife, but he can't really verbalize anything. The couple's 2 daughters, now 4 and 5, call him Uncle Brandon, and James' son, now 14, formed a special bond with Brandon as well. Chris, who started making TikTok videos about life with Brandon last year, with James' blessing, says Brandon needs 24-hour care and lives in a care facility about 10 minutes away from the family, but she brings him home regularly. I feel like I lost my husband, Chris says. The way I found meaning is to go back to work with people like him and to share our story. Every year when she submits her guardianship paperwork to the judge, she includes a photo of her and her husband with their kids and Brandon. She says, I still love him and he's still very much a part of our family. So, I'm putting in, good stories. So this is good. I mean, I can't imagine being married that young and realizing the commitment you have to make to someone, the difference, and good on her for realizing that, look, we want someone, to say, hey, this is, your partner, you're going to stay with them forever. But she recognized in herself that this was not the partnership that she wanted to have. It's not the same partnership. It's more of a parent-child partnership. And it's, you may have different views on this, but I was trying to put something a little bit heartwarming-ish. So I'm glad that the new husband recognized that, he's always going to be part of our life. It's a really hard thing. I can't imagine doing all of this. And it's good that, she changed her career to work with people with traumatic brain injuries. It's really, really a difficult thing. Now, on to a story that'll tick you off. Well, Dennis, I can only do so much. Apparently, even being a pastor won't get you out of, and living in a gated community won't keep weirdo neighbors from trying to unalive you. A Vegas pastor, Nick Davey, was fatally unalived in front of his kids after a dispute with a female neighbor in a gated community. Now, Squid Pro Quo, I am so very sorry. I can't imagine just losing a little bit with what I'm on medication-wise feels life-changing. I can't imagine the whole universe change that it is to have a traumatic brain injury. So, yipes. So my heart goes out to anyone that's suffering with that. Friberto, are you even going to try your bed? He says, no, but I'll give everyone a glance of my bits. Good morning. I'm going to say Wocha. Not sure if he's a Joel Osteen or not. I did not look, like I say, I just read the headlines and then go with things. So we will learn together. A Vegas area pastor was unalived in his driveway during an alleged dispute with his neighbor as his family, including 2 children, watched the horrifying moment unfold feet away. Nick Davey, 46, a pastor at Grace Point Church in North Las Vegas, was unalived when Joe Junio, 36, confronted the family outside their townhouse in the courts at Alante gated community last month, according to Fox 5 Las Vegas. Your mind just can't process that, Davey's fellow pastor Ty Neal told the outlet, saying the family has been terrorized for weeks by Junio, and they left the home and they were staying elsewhere. Junio allegedly became irate when the pastor complained about her to the HOA. According to the wrongful death suit filed by Davey's wife, Sarah, the family of 4 was leaving their home for the evening when Junio drove past them and parked her car and rolled down her window, according to 8 News Now. Why don't you leave us alone? We've had enough, someone shouted at Junio as one of the children began recording the altercation from inside the vehicle. What is your problem with us? Davey reportedly asked before taking a step toward Junio's car. Well, ma'am, you already look kind of pissed off at the world. You have a gold medal resting bee face. Junio shot Davey in the abdomen and turned the gun on Sarah, striking her as well, while the couple's 2 children, 12 and 15, watched inside from a nearby car. One of Davey's children captured the horrific actions on their phone with a photo of the moment before the fatal thing attached to the lawsuit. Both Davey and his wife were taken to University Medical Center, where he unfortunately passed away. Davey was born and raised in Riverhead, New York, and joined Grace Point Church staff in 2014, the Christian Broadcast News Network said. Weeks before the shooting, Junio began showing signs of escalating threatening behavior after Davey reported to her to the HOA for violations including chickens and dogs. She was trying to have her own chicken farm. A police report obtained by KLAS read, Junio, who was licensed with the Nevada Real Estate Division, was arrested at the scene. She was a real estate agent? Well, would you really buy a house from this woman? No. She has since been charged with open murder with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, battery, child abuse, neglect, discharging a weapon where a person might be endangered, according to jail records reviewed by the Post. The wrongful death lawsuit filed on January 19th is asking the jury to award unspecified amount of damages. While the homeowner association is not listed on the lawsuit, it does acknowledge that the HOA knew of the likelihood that Junio would become violent. The homeowners association knew or should have known that the defendant would likely perform violent actions against the deceased and plaintiff as a result of an ongoing association dispute, according to KVVU TV. Junio is being held on a $300,000 bail at the Clark County Detention Center. Well, I don't. So it looks like it's a gated community. So yeah, they're probably not going to let you have chickens and or dog fights. This woman looks unhinged on photographs. I mean, that is her mugshot, but I don't know how much you can take super resting bee face up a notch or down a notch with makeup. I mean, she already looks like she has disdain for every single person in humanity, and I don't know how you can cover that with foundation. But this is horrible. Again, if this was escalating, if the HOA knew this, if she's gotten complaints, now why the pastor and them did not start reporting this to the police, to lay the paperwork, to get a protective order. Look, yeah, she just looks all the cray. And I don't know what kind of pastor he was. It looks like he wears sunglasses on his head inside. Not a fan of it, but he has passed away. On a serious note, I hope that the children and the wife are getting all the help and all the therapy. I can't imagine. I can't imagine the terror, the helplessness, and just all of the feelings that they are having right now. And I hope that they're getting counseling and everything they need, because I can't imagine what they're feeling right now. And I hope this woman doesn't get off with a slap on the wrist. I hope that she doesn't use any sort of excuse like she felt threatened, because there's no excuse for this. In other news, where the hell is Jackie Robinson? Someone stole Jackie Robinson. I guess he stole home and first and 3. Look, I don't know sports ball, but I'm pretty sure stealing a Jackie Robinson statue from the park is not how we celebrate this. I'm speechless. Cops are looking for people who stole a Jackie Robinson statue from a park. Now, I've heard of stealing copper wiring from old houses, but this is getting a little ridiculous. Authorities in Kansas are searching for the people who are responsible for going to a Wichita park in the middle of the night and hauling off with a Jackie Robinson statue. The theft happened around midnight Thursday at the Jackie Robinson Pavilion in McAdams Park on Wichita's north side. Wichita police have released surveillance video of a pickup truck they think is involved. The thieves cut off the statue at the ankles, leaving only Robinson's shoes behind. Loaded it into the bed of a pickup truck before driving away. The cops say the value of the theft is about $75,000. When I received notification of this, it was one of the few times in my life I'm speechless, said Wichita City Councilman Brandon Johnson at a press conference Friday. This horrendous, disgusting act really caused me pause, and it caused pause because of the impact, no matter the motivation of those involved. Johnson said the statue by artist John Parsons was erected to benefit kids in the area who play baseball and to honor the legend. The statue was unveiled in 2021 by League 42, which organizes the area Little League's baseball league, and was named for Robinson, who wore number 42. Park and Recreation Director Troy Houtman said he had a lot of different emotions about the theft. I was wondering who would do such a thing, he said. Who would actually take a statue of Jackie Robinson, an icon of baseball history? The impact of this theft is more than just the cash value of this statue. It has a huge impact in regard to the history of our community and the history of baseball. This theft is the opposite of everything Jackie Robinson stood for. And now he can't stand because he got no legs. What the actual hell? I I The city is offering $2,500 for tips that would lead to arrest and $5,000 for the statue's return. Anyone with information is asked to call Wichita Police. Meanwhile, League 42 started a GoFundMe to raise funds for a replacement statue or to repair the original should it be recovered. As law enforcement searches for the statue and the culprits of this crime, we remain devoted to our mission to providing low-cost baseball and education opportunities for our 600 kids ages 5 to 14. They are heartbroken over this theft, as any of us, and we are determined to either repair the original sculpture or create a new one. Director Bob Lutz told the look, this is so dumb. And we need to really think about this. Highlights, and I'm going to get semi-political here for just 2 seconds. And you can agree, disagree, because I don't tell you how to think. But, you know, justice reform, most of us were sold that it was going to be, people aren't going to go to jail for, a jillion years for carrying a little bit of the devil's lettuce or, making one stupid mistake. But what justice reform seems to have turned into is, well, Taylor Swift's stalker can get out, with no cash bond and go to her house tomorrow. Or, these people can, shoplift and shoplift and shoplift and never get caught. Or, it's definitely not been what it's touted as. And what it has become is you give people slaps on the wrist, slaps on the wrist, slaps on the wrist. And then when you finally punish them, you get the guy in Las Vegas who launches over and tries to unalive a judge because he doesn't understand that now things actually have consequences. I mean, again, I don't want to. I think criminal justice reform could have been a great thing. We could have all agreed on all sides. I, as a conservatarian with really no political home, because I think all of them have dumb points at some point, I could have been there and said, look, if a guy, tried a little bit of the devil's lettuce, he gets caught driving home with devil's lettuce, I don't think he should get 6 years and $1 bajillion of court fees. I think we can, have a thing. If someone is struggling with addiction, let's put them in a treatment plan. But when you have, violent crimes like carjacking, mugging, stalking, all these things that now become, no cash bail and all of these other things, it gets to the point where we are putting the people that are perpetrating crimes before the victims, and no one wins. But that's just my little soapbox. I will put it away. I don't make the laws. I just rant about them on the interwebs. I have a bunch of wigs behind me. I'm a deeply unserious person most of the time, so those are just my thoughts, and everyone has them, so feel free to agree or disagree. So another sort of heartwarming but sad story. Look, I'm trying to be better. A standout guy, Maine town manager, dies after saving his son from an icy pond. Again, we talk a lot about, men need to stand up, or where are all the good men, or, toxic masculinity. Well, here's a man who really put his money where his mouth was, and he saved his son. The beloved manager of a Maine town passed away after saving his 4-year-old son when they both fell through an icy pond on Friday. Kevin Howell, 51, was walking with his son Sawyer around 6:30 a.m. when they broke through the ice on Etna Pond, less than half a mile from their Carmel, Maine home. The Pensacola, look, Pensacobot, look, I don't know, something sheriff's office said in a statement. Howell was the manager of the city or manager of Carmel, located 50 miles northeast of the state's capital, Augusta. The sheriff's office said Howell managed to get his son out of the water and onto more solid ice, telling him to go get his mother. The boy ran home and notified his mother. The mom told the young boy to stay home. She called 911 and rushed to help her husband. On her way, she grabbed an anchor and a rope and ran down to the water, the sheriff's office said. Once the woman, Kate, reached the shore, she secured the rope and went to help her husband, but ended up falling through the ice as well, the sheriff's office said Friday. Jordan Norton, a sheriff's detective, responded to the area after the 911 call. When he saw Howell's wife in the water, he began crawling across the treacherous ice while holding onto the rope. While he was able to get the woman to safety, he did not see Kevin Howell above the surface of the waters. Divers from the state police and the warden service searched the pond at around 1:40 p.m. and found Howell's body about 20 minutes later, the sheriff's office said. The small town is grieving. Howell, a community member and friends and colleagues described as a wonderful guy. Daniel Fry, chairman of the town's board of selectmen, told the Portland Press Herald on Saturday that Howell really believed in the community. That's why he was such a perfect person for the town manager role. He always wanted to make the town better. He was a standout guy. Fry told the local outlet that Howell was always trying to make the small town better, including creating a town landing, building a new playground, and revitalizing Carmel Days, a community celebration held every fall. When he took it over, it was on the outs. He came in and brought the community together. Every year, it got bigger and better, in large part to Kevin's work, Fry said. He was always working on the next project. His death is a big loss for the town. Now, I do want to put in a caveat, and look, nothing against this gentleman, but don't go on icy ponds when we've had a fairly mild winter. Yipes. Just, I've known people who have lost friends because they go out. My daughter wanted to go ice skating on the lake on one of the lakes near our house, last weekend, and I said no, and I was the meanest mom ever. But I said, it has not been cold enough. That ice is not, thick enough. You are not allowed to do this. And she's like, but my friends. And I said, I'm sure that your friends' parents feel comfortable, but I don't. Now, nothing happened to the friends. And it's, I'm glad that nothing happened to the friends. But I have seen too many people that don't respect ice, and I am a worrywart. Look, I'm the one that's like, if there's something that's going to go wrong, but it's not been cold enough. And when I try to explain that, and at 15, look, I watched Final Destination. I don't get behind lumber trucks for any reason. But I'm sure this gentleman, he lives in Maine. He's probably lived on the ice for so long, and he probably thought that he knew. And I'm glad that his son and wife were able to get out. And I wish he hadn't lost his life. But it's been such a mild winter, and people don't run this through their head. So just think before you go out on a frozen lake is all I'm saying. Possibly. I mean, I'm not an iceologist, but that's my only. You are a brave woman. Look, after Final Destination, I'm surprised anyone would drive behind a lumber truck. I'm surprised lumber trucks don't have their own lane after Final Destination. Judge Judy says the biggest mistake in her career was turning down a role in Legally Blonde. I agree. She should have been that judge for that whole, happy people don't kill their husbands. Yeah, I know, squid pro quo. I'm just saying they should have their own it should have been a federal law. Everyone saw that movie. They should have their own highway. Judge Judy said she turned down the opportunity to make a cameo in Legally Blonde. Judy Shendlin, the TV judge in the series Judy Justice, told E! News that missing out on the role in the iconic film was her one regret. They reached out through someone and said, "We'd like you to be the judge," Shendlin said, referring to the character in the murder trial scene of the 2001 film, which starred Reese Witherspoon. The 81-year-old actress ended up declining the role for reasons she didn't specify, but says in hindsight she should have accepted it. "It's the biggest mistake I ever made in my career," Judy said, not playing the part in that movie. The role of the judge in Legally Blonde eventually went to actress Francesca P. Roberts. "Sometimes you have to take the adventure and run with it." View with E! News, Judge Shedlin said she wouldn't mind having Reese Witherspoon play her in a biopic. "We're friends and she gets me. I know she does," Shedlin told E! News, "and I think she's a great actress. I think she could, if they did, which I would not like, I think she could carry it off." There we go. Greedy bloke. I think I figured out a way to get over my fear, but I don't think anyone would trust me. Look, no one should trust me with a taser and a CDL. In more female privilege news, a New Jersey teacher, not t-shirt. Oh, again with those eyebrows. And someone has been comfort eating. And look, as a comfort eater, ma'am, same, but it's called the carnivore diet. Look it up. I'm still retaining a lot of Mike and Ike's too. New Jersey teacher who had an illicit smexy abuse with a student avoids prison time after ex-pupils send court letters of support. That should not matter. She abused a child. Hello, justice system, child abuse. A New Jersey teacher who abused a 17-year-old female student evaded prison time last week after her former student sent letters of support to the court ahead of her sentencing. Ex-Fair Lawn High School graphics teacher Christine Cundenson, you do look like a Cundenson, don't you, was placed under lifetime parole supervision and forced to register as an offender, but won't see a day behind bars if she doesn't violate the terms of sentencing, according to the Bergen Record. She is also reportedly prohibited from having any contact with her victim as part of the 3-year suspended sentence tied to her illicit abuse with the teenage student that lasted nearly a year in 2017. The relationship was technically legal because the victim was at the age of consent. Before the sentencing, the student was considered a child. No. Just because she was a lesbian, just because she groomed a child, it's the same power dynamic you would have with an older gay gentleman and a younger gay man. It's the same power dynamic. Do we really need to talk about this? It is an unfair advantage. She probably groomed this child while in school. "Oh, I really like you. You're so smart. I see you. You are my soulmate." All of this other stuff. This teen child, this teen girl will now never know if she can ever trust another partner because she was so misled. If she doesn't have, therapy, this is so gross. I don't care, the orientations. I don't care any of that. She abused a child. She abused her position of power. I really don't care beyond that. That is the problem. End of soapbox again. Parents send their kids to school every day, trust that they will be safe in the care of their teachers, Bergen County Judge Nina Remsen said Wednesday, according to the outlet. And there is a very strong need to deter not only Miss Knudsen, but all the citizens from violating the law, especially, excuse me, in this nature involving a breach of trust between teacher and student. It wasn't just a breach of trust. This woman pled guilty in July to reckless endangerment after she was initially charged with assault in 2000 of the sexual kind in 2021. She met the victim when the student joined the school's drama club, which she advised. The former educator's lawyer in court last week blamed multiple troubles in her life, including substance abuse, for the inappropriate relationship. I think it's fair to say from her comments that if she could go back in time, she would love to do so. Well, I'm sure that, Mr. Hankety Clankety from, WW2 would love to have just gone back and be a painter, when he was in some bunker somewhere. But for the sir. And unfortunately, we know we can't do that. And she's here today for something that she knew was wrong and wanted to stop but couldn't. Sir, I'm gonna need you to shut the hell up right now. Wanted to stop but couldn't, like she was, like the hand of God was forcing her to text gross messages to a kid that she groomed. Beelzebub was on her shoulder, pushing her to touch other people's kids inappropriately. I'm going to need you to explain how she just couldn't. This teacher, who taught for 2 decades, had a positive influence on her classes, according to the letters of support from her ex-students. Assistant prosecutor Stefan Bolenbach said, though he pointed out the relationship with the victim violated the trust between educator and pupil. He described the plea deal as justice tempered with mercy. No, it's called boob privilege. If this was a dude, he'd be thrown in the clink. We'd be villainizing him forever. And, it really needs to stop. I'm about done with it. As an owner of boobs and a uterus, it needs to stop. So while certainly this is not a victimless crime, far from it, I hope this teacher is forever deterred, Bolenbach said, according to the record. I think it's in the best interest of the community as a whole and certain students, and certainly to the students. So again, let's not traumatize the students by making, the teacher with boobs who is assaulting people. Again, I know the Catholic Church has done a lot of bad things, but you look into these teachers' unions and the teachers that they protect and all of this stuff that they let teachers get away with, they just move them, they don't report things. It's gross to the nth degree, and I'm getting really tired of us funding and them funding political stuff. My last political soapbox thing, but get public money or public union money out of politics. I mean, I'm with Cenk Yogurt on this. Let's get all money out of politics. Union money. Note to self, do not open any packages now, whether they're from Amazon or not. And there is your last story. As we are all ticked off and mad. Well, I tried to put some heartwarming stuff in there too. I will tell you, I get up at 4 to look at news, and it is hard finding not political and not Mesopotamia news. So I am trying my best to find more heartwarming stuff. We found paranormal stuff. And, I would just recommend staying out of Wisconsin and Michigan if you can, just for a little bit. And then hopefully my backdrops will be in. I know, I need to I need to switch around. I will tell you I had to run out to get more hangers for my wigs. So and then I had the call with the, nurse to make sure that my child could have the very, very scary ibuprofen. So, I am sending you all to Excited Utterance, and I will be joining her to watch, uh, the Murdaugh, I think, investigation trial or whatever they're doing with the judge that sounds like she has a very deep voice. So I will be sending you over there. Don't forget to go over to Shizzy's stream and give him some love. He is a great guy. Again, he took time out of his weekend to show me all of the technical things and demystify them. And I will see you guys tonight. Have a wonderful day. Say one kind thing to yourself and something kind to someone else. It's the greatest way for us introverts to try to get out there and, spread kindness just a little bit, tiny bit, without, being all that people-y. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.